Hello everyone, welcome to ListenABLE, a podcast normalising disability through the means of accessible podcasting, aka video podcasting, aka the video has captions on it, aka the podcast below has a transcript.
Well done, Angus. You do all that hard work with our producer of the stars, Amelia. Congratulations. How are you, mate? What's going on?
Very good. Can I, do you want me to give you a little bit of a Apple update on the transcripts?
As in the fruit or the company?
Well, I do prefer a Red Delicious, if you're asking. But no, Apple Podcasts have just launched with their new update, transcripts for all podcasts.
How good's that?
So automatic podcast transcripts, if you update to, I think it's the 17.4 or something, the latest update, which is available right now. So if you are somebody who is deaf or hard of hearing, or maybe you just prefer to, because it follows or highlights the word as it goes along with the script.
Yeah, you might like to read. I actually often now, Chantel likes following along with captions when she watches a movie. So now when I watch something without captions, I'm like, where's the captions? Because you just get used to it, so it's great.
Our house has captions on everything.
Yeah.
We just finished Succession, 4 seasons, all captioned.
I like that. Do you reckon Apple will pick up these dulcet tones?
It's going to be incredibly difficult for it to decipher not only what an Australian is saying, but as an Australian with a low gruff register. Good luck to you, Apple Podcasts.
G'day, Apple. Welcome to ListenABLE.
Oh, don't make it more difficult. Okay. Today, we have an incredible guest joining us from overseas. So the time difference, I don't know how generous you've been with the allocation.
It looks daylight.
It's daylight in the background.
He's fine.
Maybe he's in, what's that place that never goes to sleep? No.
Revolver.
That's a nightclub in Melbourne, everybody, that goes through the night. No, it's Alaska or something. Do you know how the sun never sets?
Yeah, it's Sweden. It's in the Nordic
anyway.
areas.
This guy's in Canada. Can you please introduce yourself for the ListenABLE audience?
Yeah, so I'm Ryan Straschnitzki. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. So I do a lot of public speaking. I tell a little bit about my story to individuals, mainly school kids and corporate events, as well as I run a charity organization called the Strass Strong Foundation in hopes to give back to those living with both mental and physical disabilities a better quality of life through adaptive sport and rehabilitation funding. I also do adaptive sports. I played sled hockey, was part of the national program for a little bit here in Canada. And, I actually just got recently cut from the Paralympic team. So I turned my pursuit towards wheelchair basketball and have the opportunity to hopefully play for Team Canada before 2028 Paralympics.
Do you want me to do it or do you just want to do it? Do you want to say it, Dylan?
You say, mate.
Dylan is a gold medal Paralympic wheelchair basketball player.
Wow.
So
Right
in
on.
the gold,
He would have said it himself if I didn't, don't worry.
in the gold medal game in 2008, I scored a 3-pointer on Pat Anderson, and,
No
and we
way.
won gold. And then in London, we were the favourites, supposed to beat Canada. Guess what?
Ooh.
Pat Anderson had 40 points and we lost.
Ooh, okay.
So
There you go.
I've got a gold and a silver, both against Canada. Canada, if anyone doesn't know, is a powerhouse in wheelchair basketball. They have this guy outside of Ryan, who's the best player on the team. The second best player is this guy called Pat Anderson, who is a double amputee and is just
Hang on.
unbelievable.
A double amputee playing wheelchair basketball?
Yeah, so he's got no legs and he sits in a wheelchair.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, I just thought arms.
Oh my God.
Oh, my apologies, everybody.
Who brought this guy to
gosh.
the podcast?
Ryan, you weren't born with disability. You've got an incredible story to tell. Could you tell us or take us back to the day and the circumstances around how you acquired your disability?
Yeah, so back on April 6th of 2018, I was playing junior A hockey, which is the age level between 16 and 20-year-olds, high-level hockey right below college and pro hockey. On our way to a playoff game, our team bus was struck by a semi-truck, killing 16 people and injuring the rest. And as a result of the accident, I suffered a T1 complete spinal cord injury.
Well, that's a lot. So who, if you don't mind getting into it, brother, of course, if you struggle to talk about it, you tell us. Were they teammates? Were they staff members? Who was on the bus that passed away?
Yeah, so there's 29 of us total, and there was trainers, coaches, statisticians, and obviously teammates. Unfortunately, none of the coaching staff or trainers survived, and 12 of my teammates and I included were the survivors.
Yeah, that's reading that is horrific, and then to have to ask you to share that story again. So thank you very much for being vulnerable enough to talk about it. Can you, in the moments after the accident, did you lose consciousness? Were you awake the whole time? And when did you realize that, for you personally, that something was wrong?
Yeah, so after the initial collision, everything sort of went black, and I remember waking up, and my back was against the semi truck, and I just remember staring at, all the mayhem and everything in front of me, and being conscious for that. I probably wish I wasn't, and my first instinct was just to get up, and I'm going to move, and I'm stuck, and keep trying and keep trying. I'm still stuck, and thinking I got to move whatever it is that's holding me down. And I look down, and there's nothing there, just my legs out in front of me. So instantly, I know something's wrong. All I can do at this point is yell for help. But again, with the injuries that I sustained to my like ribs and lungs and head, I couldn't do that either. So at this point, I'm just like stuck. Right, I'm just going in and out of consciousness. As a young 18-year-old, wondering if these are going to be your last moments, are quite terrifying. And all I could do is wait. And eventually, paramedics arrived. I got loaded up into an ambulance and then airlifted to another hospital, taken through a bunch of exams, placed in an emergency room where I was told that I would have spinal cord surgery the next day. Now, being young and naive, I thought, the doctor's going to fix everything. And after that extensive surgery, I remember waking up and seeing friends, families, visitors coming in and out of my room, give me words of encouragement. And, I just remember not feeling anything, being in a lot of pain, and, not really coming to terms with it until the doctors came in, and they're like, with the severity of your injury, you have a less than 2% chance of ever walking again. And that's when it kind of hit me. I'm like, everything that I worked so hard in my life to get to where I am or was, had just been kind of taken from me like that, right? And there's so many mixed emotions, and obviously just being sad. And I think the biggest thing was I felt like I let my family down, right? Like I wanted to be this strong guy for my younger siblings, and make it pro hockey and just do the things that I would make them proud. And having that taken away, I just felt nothing but like sorry, and like that's all I could say. And it was a roller coaster of events, and unfortunately it happened, but all I could do was move forward. And as the days went on, I was kind of thrown into the media, the cameras, and everyone wanting to hear what happened, and everything like that. And since then, I haven't really looked back, and just try to continue moving forward.
Do you still feel sorry to them that you aren't that big, strong, in inverted commas, older brother, even though obviously you're looking pretty fit these days, my brother?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, definitely, I thought, you know, when hockey wasn't part of my life anymore, I knew the extent of my injuries. I thought, oh, that's it, that's my life. But as I continued to rehab and get better and stronger, and get introduced to the world of parasport and everything like that, I realized I'm like, oh, there's way more to life than just hockey, right? Like, at the time, again, I did feel sorry, but now it's like, now I have a chance to do even something greater, something I would have never had the opportunity to do before. Like maybe I can be a Paralympian. Like that's the coolest thing. I would have never had that chance had none of this happened, right? And again, so many mixed emotions, but now I'd feel less sorry and more so like, you know what, I'm going to prove to you that no matter the situation I'm in, I can still make these goals achievable.
When you're lying there in hospital, obviously no right or wrong answers, just interested. Are you more worried about what's going on with you, or were you worried about what happened on the bus? And how much information did people give you
Mm.
about what happened on the bus?
Yeah, so when I was going through all these exams and tests and the doctors and there's beeping all these sounds, I just kept asking like, "What happened? Where are my teammate?" Like just like, asking about the teammate, asking what happened because I knew I was alive. I was still breathing. I was just all I could do was just keep asking and asking. And obviously, they can't give you any answers. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it was after the surgery when I obviously didn't have my phone. I was given a phone, and Twitter was the first thing that popped up, and obviously saw the extent, and I just was speechless. I mean, that feeling of like your stomach sort of dropping into this like abyss. You're like it's just so many different thoughts. You're like, you can't go back in time. You can't change anything. It just is. And in that moment, all you can do, you're just kind of struck, and you're just quiet and just stuck with your thoughts. And thank God I had my family there to console me and kind of talk to me and keep me company. But if I didn't have them, I don't even know. Like I'd just be scared the whole time.
And going back to the accident, um, how do they assess the first responders to the scene? You're obviously in and out of consciousness. You can't move. You can't even scream for help. Have you found out since how they assessed you? Because obviously in a scene like that with limited resources first on the scene, you've got to get the people. Do they assess it as, let's get the people that we know that we can save? Let's leave this person behind. Does that make sense? I don't want that to sound sort of morbid, but
That's rough. Yeah.
that's how it's got to be, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure how they did it, but I knew that they knew that people, like for example, there was a couple of us who sustained life-altering injuries as far as brain injuries and spinal injuries, and I think they knew that based off of like who was able to communicate, who was able to move, who was able to, they had a lot of responders on scene, and I think they had to move me because I couldn't move myself, and I was in critical condition. So they tried their best not to move me because they understood that I had a spinal injury. So they, lightly went through the procedure, putting me on a stretcher into an ambulance and morphine in right away. And I just woke up in the nearest hospital, which is a town called Tisdale in Saskatchewan.
Were you in that hospital with others? Were there other teammates? I know the coaching, other people who were on that bus in that same hospital that you could have conversations with once you'd come past a little bit of piece of recovery?
I believe they were there, but I didn't get to see them. It was actually kind of probably not a good time to laugh, but I remember just waking up with no clothes on, and my girlfriend at the time and her mom were in the room, and I was just so worried about that part, and I wasn't thinking about anything else. But I think they were there, but the people that they had to get assessed and ready for surgery, they had to fly to another hospital through an ambulance helicopter called STARS, and from there, we were put in an emergency room and then taken for surgery the next day.
You seem like a pretty resilient dude and a good bloke. Do you say good? A good bloke means Canadian, like good guy.
Yeah. Heard it a couple times.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did the other people that survived mentally handle this situation? Are some of them still struggling? I know it's a bit of a wide scope. How did you yourself be resilient and get over it? Not get over it, but but get in a better spot. And how are the other people doing?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could speak on behalf of everyone else. I know a lot of them seeked help, which is super important. Mental health is arguably one of the most important things you should take care of, and I know a lot of guys did that. And one of my good friends, Tyler Smith, he is a mental health advocate, started a company. Him and his now fiance just won Amazing Race Canada, and they're doing amazing things. And I know my other people, so they're doing all these amazing things, right? And just going on with life. I know a couple of them went back that next season to play hockey with the same team, and then a few of them just went to school. Some of them continued playing hockey at the college level, and they continued pushing through. And I think the biggest contributor to that was being able to keep in touch with everyone. I mean, regardless if you like the person or not, the story brings you guys together. So it's important for us to continue to be together and work through this together, because it's something that's never going to go away. For myself personally, I think the mental health sort of burden happened during the pandemic, where I mentioned I was kind of tossed the media, tossed the cameras, where I was doing one thing after the other, and just so busy that I didn't have time to just sit alone with my thoughts and just really assess what happened. So when the pandemic hit, I'm stuck here in my basement and playing video games, watching movies, and I'm like, okay, this kind of sucks. Like, I need to do more, like an athlete, right? And that's when I really had to find out who I was, and it wasn't good. I didn't like who I was, so some serious changes needed to happen, and that's when I really took control of the mental health aspect.
If we went on the Amazing Race together, would you put my wheelchair in the car, or would I put your wheelchair in the car? Who would be the leader?
Oh, okay. I think we could both put our own chairs in the car. We just have to be like working together.
Okay. I think we'd struggle in like Thailand or India, but we'd be okay in Canada.
Yeah. You'd hope the producers worked around some better locations for both of you if you're a team.
We're in the pyramids of Giza. Can you ramp it for us, please?
You got to run across this sound. No. Gosh.
Brian and Dylan are out. Yeah.
Ryan, there's one thing that I'm able-bodied. That's how I identify. But there's one thing I really struggle with understanding how people like yourself do the following, which is 4 months after the accident, you've had your surgeries, you're in recovery, and you do what?
I got onto the ice for the first time since the accident in a slide.
Now, it is a little bit different here because your accident didn't happen on the ice, so sometimes if someone did a jet ski accident and all of a sudden they get back on a jet ski, it's quite more linked, but still the process of going on that bus was around your teammates, and there's still obviously this emotional connection to the sport. 4 months after, was that a cathartic reason for getting out there? What was it?
Yeah, I think I was really motivated during that hospital stay of obviously the extent of losing my teammates and everyone like that, and wanting to prove to my family that I can still do things and make the most out of this life that I have. It's like I was motivated to get right back on the ice. I mean, as a Canadian kid, actually we have a pond out back, like behind me here. It freezes in the winter, and no matter what day, no matter what temperature, it could be minus 40 degrees Celsius, and you're out there skating for hours on end. So hockey was embedded in my identity, and I knew that getting on the ice would at least kickstart this ability for me to keep moving forward and maybe pursue more goals in the future. So as soon as I got on the ice 4 months after, I got off and I thought, well, how far can I take this, right? Like, I'll play for Team Canada, right? I want to be a Paralympian and I want to win a gold medal. And so the journey started. I started training both on and off the ice, and within a year, I made the jump to the provincial team in Alberta. Half a year after that, I made the jump to the development level for Team Canada, and then from there, attended multiple national team camps and tried out for the Paralympic team last September. So it's been a wild journey.
You seen sled hockey?
No.
Oh man, it's intense.
Yep.
You explain it, Ryan. How does it work? Just for Angus.
Depending on your disability, for people with 2 legs, you have a sled you're supposed to fit in. Your legs can fit in a little footrest or on a bucket. Underneath you have 2 blades. Depending on your stability and your ability, the blades get closer together. So there's people with spina bifida who have a lot of control who have blades this close together. It looks like one blade. Mm-hmm. But for me, being a high level spinal injury, my blades are a little bit wider, allowing for more stability. And then you have 2 sticks. So right hand, left hand, with 2 spikes on the bottom that it can dig into the ice. You use that to
propel yourself. Yeah.
So it's kind of like what I see, like those cross country skiers.
Yeah, but the other side of the stick is 2 actual hockey sticks. So
you flip it round.
You flip it around, you hit it, and they full punch on.
Well, I mean,
it's
Canadian hockey. I expect no less.
Seriously, man, you smash each other into the wall and you punch on. It's full on, isn't it?
Oh, it's the best, especially like a double amp. They're light, so you can send them flying if you want to.
Yeah,
like right into the board.
Just smash Pat Anderson.
I've never been convinced that hockey isn't just an excuse for men to fight.
It is.
It's like,
do you know?
It's like you grow up and you're like, I guess I'm just an aggressive person. I'm just going to start hockey.
I played basketball at the University of Illinois, Ryan, in Champaign-Urbana, and they played hockey there, the Chicago Blackhawks. Yeah, I've never. Hockey players are the smelliest of sports people.
Hang on.
Mate, how much does your gear stink?
Oh, it's brutal. I mean, the stench you get from your gloves is the worst. Like, it never leaves.
It's like freezing in there. Obviously, it's ice, believe it or not. But you've got so much padding on. I remember I went in the locker room afterwards to see my mate who played hockey. I was like about to vomit how much it smelt in there. It is a smelly sport, isn't it?
It's a violent sport as well, as we're going back to. And just like, apart from smelling, also, have you ever heard of somebody getting, more injuries, high level disability because of the injuries they've sustained playing sled hockey?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of injuries of people getting a high level spinal injury after playing. So, you hear about it. I haven't seen it. I've seen guys go into the boards feet first as fast as they can and shattering their like femur or like their calf bone or something like that. So, or the shin, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it's a violent sport. I mean, the worst is like, cause you have spikes on the bottom of your sticks and you're battling in the corner and, you're moving your sticks around. You can like slice veins. You can slice. Yeah, it's pretty violent.
Ryan is actually a modern day wheelchair Happy Gilmore. Right. From ice hockey.
Well, not anymore.
To golf.
I saw what you did there.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
So you played ice hockey, obviously, unfortunately got cut from the team. And I'm going to defend Ryan. There's a less classification system in ice hockey to say basketball. So for someone like Ryan or I has a high level disability, it's quite hard to make it in hockey.
Oh, because
there's no class. Gotcha. It's just free for all. So I understand. So then you made the switch to basketball where there is that class system.
Going back to golf, Dylan,
hang on, let's go, baby. I'm golfing. This is my favourite part of the chat. Let's go.
So Dylan rocked up and our little prep sheet has a picture of a standing golf setup, which is what you use. And Dylan went, he plays golf. Golf. Oh, mate. So, I'm playing 4 days a week. How many balls did you hit yesterday?
I hit 150 balls at the range yesterday, Ryan. I'm obsessed. So talk us through how you play golf. I'll let you know I play golf after, and let's have a golf chat. Golf chat.
Yeah, I golf out of here in Calgary and have this device called a Paragolfer or Paramotion, and allows me to stand up and be strapped in and play golf one-armed. When I'm seated, it allows me to move around the course and have my golf clubs right beside me, so it allows me to play with friends. And I get to kind of get that independence back, which is nice. I golf as much as I can. I love it. I think as a hockey player, that's like the summer thing to do. So as tradition, I continue to play as much as I can.
Were you golfing when you were up on your feet?
Yeah, I was a pretty avid golfer as well. Would travel and play as much as I can wherever I could.
How far do you get your driver?
Before the accident, it was probably just over 300 yards, and now on a good one, probably 250.
What? That's ridiculous.
If I miss just by an inch, it's going sideways.
I'm playing one-handed out of my day chair, so I don't stand up. I feel a bit whack when I stand up because I've sat in this little do-wacky before.
We actually saw one at the ATSA event.
If Paragolf is listening, I'll take one. But because I've never stood up because I've born with my disability. I get a bit of like vertigo, Steez. I feel a bit whack. So I got clubs made by Callaway. They bent them down 23 degrees so I can hit irons just out of my day chair. How cool is that? I'll send you a video. We should play together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tried to get out of my chair to start when I was playing golf.
It's hard, isn't it, man?
It is very hard. And I'm like, well, how do I get to the ball now? It's like, you got to wheel in this rough terrain. I'm like, nah.
I played 9 holes the other day and I was absolutely stuffed just from pushing around because I pushed around. And
I was going to say, it's a lot of time in the rough as well, so not a lot of time on the fairway, so a lot more difficulty, I imagine.
I was just tee to green, just took me 8 shots to get there, right? It's going good.
I also love that Dylan put a caveat out there for you to agree, like it was sort of feedback for him. So he was like, yeah, mate, it's super tough sitting in the chair, isn't it?
Mate,
isn't
it's
it?
hard,
Yes, it is. See, there you go. I've just got proof. Ryan said it is difficult.
Mate, I hit 7 irons, like 15 in a row straight yesterday. Like 100 metres. Let's go, Gus.
There you go.
Gus can't play golf. I'll kick his ass in another sport.
I could beat Dylan in everything.
Oh, like wheelchair sports included?
Wheelchair sports. And Dylan's a 15-time Grand Slam tennis winning champion and 2-time Paralympic gold medal. I could still beat him.
You know, we used to work on radio, Ryan, and Angus did a bit. He's like, so I just won Wimbledon. He's like, I reckon I can beat you at tennis. And he was dead set.
I still am.
And I was like, on his feet. And I'm like, bro, I don't think you can beat me at tennis. He's like, I reckon I can beat you. And he was full serious about it.
And I even said to Dylan, I'll just take 1 bounce. You can have your 2.
Oh, no, he's a dickhead. I'll smash him out. He's an idiot. I reckon he
just
would
love
win
it
a
because
point.
so you can see there's a tiny bit of frustration that he knows.
And we had all these people calling up going, I don't think you can beat him. And he's like, no, I reckon I can. He can't run. I reckon I'd beat him. And they thought he was being serious. It was so good.
I am being serious.
Oh, yeah, you're a dickhead.
Ryan, sports obviously got a lot to do with your life. We've spoken about hockey, we've spoken about golf, we've spoken about basketball. But what else is Ryan doing? Maybe something you're doing differently since your accident in 2018. What's something that your disability has opened your world to that obviously you got, I'm sort of leading towards a foundation, but, what else have we got that has changed your life for the better for the accident?
Definitely accessibility architecture. Here in Calgary, it's a very old city. It's very outdated, and the rules for accessibility have changed over the past 50 years. And unfortunately, because these places get grandfathered in year after year, they never change. So getting around places, doing things with friends sucks. Like curbs, angles, cracks, everything like that. Stairs to get into older bars and things like that with friends, it's just inaccessible. And truthfully, it's unfortunate because you never want to ask your friends, hey, I need another boost up, but or I need this, I need that. And you want to be as independent as possible. So through this sort of thought process, it's not a new thing to make everything more accessible, but I've been working with a guy out here in Canada named Rick Hansen and his foundation as far as making things more accessible through architecture. And what we do essentially is try to find businesses that could benefit from having a sort of revamp and renovation to make it accessible, because targeting towards that universal design so that everyone can access buildings and facilities is super important. It's a long-term investment, but I think, in the next 20 years, majority of the population is going to have a form of disability, or whether temporary or, full term. I think it's important to have the measures in place before it's too late.
Is that kind of the stuff that your foundation does as well, or where do you guys lean in?
So the foundation typically goes towards adaptive sport and rehabilitation funding, so equipment, programming, things like that. But as far as like a sort of business approach in which I want to sort of create is this business called Universal by Design, in which we take everyday lifestyle objectives, so as far as travel, accommodation, things like that, and make it as universally accessible as possible. So we're hoping to work with car manufacturers, buildings, innovative technologies, anything like that people use to their everyday lives to make it more accessible, whether that's funding or just making it easier to use. I mean, there's so many different approaches, and I think targeting that universal design is, it's not impossible, but it's very hard to reach that peak moment. So we're going to work every day, one step at a time, to make it accessible for everyone.
Around accessibility, Ryan, you talked about the grandfathering rule. So, let's think about some old universities that have been around for hundreds of years. All of a sudden they get grandfathered in and they get to go, woof, thank God we don't need to put ramps in our beautiful, marble staircases. Does that change every year? Are there some businesses that are like on the cusp of being grandfathered and they're just like kind of like looking away when people talk about accessibility and hoping, do you know what I mean? Did the grandfather rule cut off and everyone now from that point forward, or every year does more businesses get into this sort of age bracket that they can then be excused for not having accessible features?
I think every 3 to 5 years they do a reassessment, and there could be that bias of like, or sorry, not bias, but the idea that people are turning a blind eye, right, and being like, oh, we don't want to work because it's too much work. We want to be lazy and just give them the check mark and move forward. But I think newer businesses coming out, they have this architecture in place where it's already accessible. It's new, it's modern, it's like what you need now. But unfortunately, because they got grandfathered in years ago, they feel like they don't have to revamp or invest any money to make it more accessible for everyone. So it's a little unfortunate, but once you learn the long-term investment of making a place accessible and having the facilities accessible as well, you realize that you're more likely to create more business for yourself.
Of course, we love that rule.
Preaching to the choir over here. I do have to give my friend on my left here, Angus, some credit. He's learnt a lot about universal design and accessibility inclusion.
I do love it.
I work in the space too, Ryan. He's done good. He's listened and learned.
Accessible Podcast Studios.
And now he's an ally, is what we love to see.
It's time for the bowl of uncomfortable.
Before
Ryan.
that, two more golf questions quickly.
I was going to say, I bet this, if he drops the word Callaway or Titleist somewhere in here, he's trying to get a free hat.
Excuse me. I'm Callaway for life.
Oh.
All right. Ooh, we love Callaway. Hey, two things. One, do you have a handicap?
I haven't played a full 18 yet.
No, either. It's so hard to get around. Secondly, this is a genuine question because I'm not sure because we've been playing. What happens if you hit in the bunker? What do we do? Do we take a drop behind it?
Depends on the bunker. I heard when you're actually competing, there's some bunkers where you can actually drive the machine in, and there's some bunkers where you can drop ball.
But I'll get bogged.
Yeah,
I'll be caught in the bunker.
Is there an actual official golf rule?
Yeah, no. There's wheelchair golf, man. It's proper.
Okay.
But honestly, do you know? I'm not sure either. I imagine you got to take a drop backwards behind the bunker, then hit over it. I guess that's what I do.
I usually just do drop ball behind the bunker.
Or just pretend it didn't go in there and just take it out.
Mm.
No one's does
exactly.
Just do what every average player, Dylan, does, which is just have the second ball in your pocket and pretend that was it.
No, I do a shot and just throw it.
And then,
oh my God, I went in. What are the chances? Yeah, okay, cool. Great.
Ryan, it's time for the Bowl of Uncomfortable. This is where we get questions sent through from our listeners to you directly, or maybe something to do with your disability in general. And then by asking an uncomfortable question, if you're comfortable answering it, maybe it makes it comfortable for everybody.
I'll go first. The heavy one. So again, caution to our listener, but also if you don't want to answer, no dramas. When you were first told of your disability, do you wish you had have died on that bus?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think where I am today, I'm very fortunate enough to be here, and the opportunities that I've had since have been absolutely amazing and life-changing. So, the initial stages with everything that I experienced, like from what I saw to what I felt to what I was thinking, the initial, probably a couple days was definitely, I was on the cusp of that. I wasn't sure if I wanted to live a life, if this is what I was going to feel the rest of my life. But after some careful thought and as the days went on, I realized that I could continue moving forward.
Ryan, I would not ask you this question, but we got asked this 4 times when people knew about your story, and it's a question that is our listeners. So I apologize for it. Not my favorite question, but I'll ask it once again. It doesn't have to make the edit if you're not comfortable answering it. Was it the bus driver or the truck driver's fault? And the person who was at fault, what happened to them?
So it was the semi-truck driver's fault. He blew a stop sign and didn't slow down enough in time. And after that, there was a bunch of legal cases and court dates, and I think just recently he got deported back to his home country. I'm not sure where it was, but he was forced to leave the country. But
injury-wise, sustained?
He was fine. Yeah, no injuries.
How do you feel towards him?
At this point, it is what it is. I mean, obviously, I wish I could take everything back, but towards him personally, I think everyone makes mistakes, and unfortunately, he's going to have to live with this the rest of his life. So there's no point in me just hammering down on him any more than he's already probably burdening.
Who's this guy? He's a weapon, right?
Yeah, that is tough.
We like Ryan. Ryan, great answer, mate. Beautiful stuff.
It is, mate. Thank you very much for being so vulnerable and sharing that story, mate.
Just can't put into words how much I used to hate the Canadian wheelchair basketball team.
Oh.
And you are lovely. You know what I mean? I respected them, but they were just so good, and they used to beat us all the time, and I just can't put into words.
Not in a way, baby.
But not Ryan, baby. Ryan, you're one of us, mate. We love your work.
Good luck, mate. We wish you the best in Paris and beyond.
I'm in Paris working on TV over there, so if you make it, mate, please drop us a line, and we'll get a beer over there when you win a medal for sure. As long as as long as the rollers beat you, at least by 1 point. Yeah, that's all good. Good on you, mate. Thanks so much.
On Instagram, it's at @rstraz_, at the Straz Strong.
Can people donate? What's the deal? Do you take donations or?
Yeah, on our charity foundation, it's strazstrongfoundation.com. There's a donate button there, and then any sort of newsletter and events we have coming up, they're more than happy to reach out and be a part.
The link is below. Mate, thank you so much for sharing your story on ListenABLE.
Awesome. Thank you.